If you have a moment, join me if you like. Just a little attention, a little awareness, and a little investigating. So if we take this time and any given time that you have to be and to discard, get rid of, and we can do this right now, get rid of all the ideas that we have about the world and the way that it works. If we discard every religious belief we've ever even heard of, all the social ideas and concepts we have about life and what it is, what's important about it, get rid of all of that stuff. And then get rid of any ideas that you have about yourself, about what you are, what you're supposed to do, your life's purpose, your life's journey, all of your desires that come and go, aspirations, anything having to do with your family, friend life, work life. Get rid of all of it right now. And be here, alive and present. So, what can we say about what's alive and present in this moment? So, and also what about our life, beyond any conceptual thought or idea, can we say about our life that is something that we can definitively confirm as real and true? So forget about esoteric knowledge or all the spiritual meditation, yoga stuff that we've heard of as far as what is important and what a goal might be of life or any kind of attainment. Be here totally new, totally fresh, totally empty and free of all of that stuff. And if we sit as we are, just with this, and allow the mind to be completely free of any thought that's ever passed through it, completely free of memory, completely free of aspiration about the future, of motivation or drive to accomplish anything. The only thing in this moment is just being alive in this moment. And just pay attention to what happens. Give yourself some space here, just to observe what happens. And notice, including things like, this is stupid, this is silly, or any concepts that try to come in from the mind, from thought. Notice any kind of thought itself from this place, and know that all the thought is part of all the stuff that we're discarding in this moment. So any thought that arises is part of what we're doing right now, is discarding everything. We're emptying, taking everything out, emptying every single thing out that has been collected and accumulated, and just being here, just being in this moment. Just watch the tendency to put more things onto the moment, or to pull the attention out of the moment and into the thoughts. So just be with that and watch that and notice the pull. Notice that you have awareness of being here and present and what that's like. You have attention and awareness on the lure of the thoughts. You have attention and awareness of even getting pulled into thoughts and even absorbing and forgetting. You are actually aware of forgetting too, which means you are not actually forgetting, because you're present there watching forgetting happening, because you're able to say, oh, I forgot about the present moment thing. This is an incredible thing to observe. So if you can, try, be here. Just watch. So if we sit from this space and what it's like and it's the nature of the moment, just observe what it's like to exist in this way. And to know that this is natural. That this is totally natural. Whatever the quality of this moment, whatever you feel in this moment, whatever is when there's the ability to just be here, without fighting the mind, without resisting, without trying not to think, let everything try and do, and know that you are not doing. That's the point of this, is to be completely in a state of effortlessness. And if we're trying to deflect thoughts, if we're trying to be silent, if we're trying to be still, there's effort there. What's important about this is to be completely effortless. And that means allow all of it to happen. Allow the thoughts to come, allow forgetting to happen, be here and just watch it all. Right? Know that you're eternally present because, like I said before, you're able to report about forgetting. So that means you are actually present and aware with that happening. Okay? So whatever the quality of this moment is, know that it's actually not something that's developed or created, and it doesn't require anything at all, that this is actually innately always here, right? Because if we look, we didn't try to make this happen. We didn't try to make the moment happen. We actually just stopped trying to do anything else. And you realize what the moment actually is. When our attention is not in the moment, there's forgetting about what the moment is like. Right? So just being, just noticing the quality of this moment. That's here when everything else is uncovered, when it's uncovered, when everything else is taken off. Right? And if you also notice, is that all the stuff that was taken off is all just thoughts. They're not even like things, that they're like phantoms. Ideas and concepts, they're like phantoms. They don't really exist. The mind and thought, it's something that seems to occur, but it's like shimmers on water or reflections on water, sort of. They're there, but they're not really there. Right? And in fact, you'll discover that effortless being is just that, and is actually the natural quality of yourself. It's actually the completely normal, natural, innate, and like ever-present state of who you are and what you are. All the other stuff is additions to that seem to cover it. But this is always what it is. And anytime that the attention is free of being fixated on the mind stuff, this can be realized. And it's not that it comes, this is always here, but is simply realized when the volume gets turned down on the mind stuff. Similarly to silence is always there, but noise seems to cover silence. As soon as noise stops, silence can be experienced. This is similar to that in the sense, but as you'll notice that even the process of, like I keep referring to, even the process of forgetting, even the process or the seeming covering up of this natural present state of being, for lack of a better term, you'll notice that it's even alive during the process, or what it seems like to forget or to be covered. In other words, another way to say this is silence is even present when there's sound, when there's noise. Silence is still innately there. And yourself is like this. And we don't actually experience ourself in the mind and as the mind, but that's commonly what the association with self is with mind stuff and body stuff. But we can know for sure by confirming that as I sit presently and I witness everything, that the mind, as it disappears, it can't be who I am. Nothing about the mind or nothing of the mind can be who I am, because when it dissolves, there's still something here. I am still here. The mind can be completely gone and completely non-existent. These are moments of pure presence. And I am still here. There's still perceiving. There's still presence here, with or without mind. And we also confirm that the mind is something that's associated with the body. That's for sure. And if that's the case, then it would be the same with the body. Meaning this present attention and awareness is the only stable thing in our existing. And it also indicates that similarly of attention, awareness, and presence exist before, during, and after, unchanging the presence of the mind or the movements of the mind. Let's say that again. You yourself, as attention, as presence, as awareness purely, exist unchanging before the mind comes, while the mind is active, and then after the mind goes, is here. The mind being connected and attached and associated with the body, this indicates that it's the same even when the body goes. The body is born, consciousness, attention, presence, awareness is there. The body is born, experienced, witnessed. It plays and acts and does all that it does, and then it goes. This indication is one of those micro-macrocosms that it's the same thing. And this can be scaled out further, but for today, just staying with this. Another thing that we can open from this is that beyond all knowledge, beyond anything, what can we say about our experience of life when we're involved with it? We can say that experiences happen, they come and go, and it seems like thought is really what governs our life. We think about something and we feel something. Something happens, and then feelings and thoughts are associated with that happening, and then that's our experience of life. So we're experiencing life through the covering of presence. And that is all based on memory. All the mind stuff is based on memory, the past. So it's rare that we experience moments of actual presence, of the actual nature and state of life itself and the world and your own self. And so what we can say about that, just by viewing it, just by viewing what's going on, is mind, as it covers present attention and awareness that is really unchanging, as it covers that up, and we perceive in the forgotten state about what's real and what's actually here, as opposed to, focusing on the shimmer of water. It's like looking at a pool of water and being fixated on the reflection in the water, as opposed to the water itself, and saying, oh, let's say you see the reflection of a tree in the water. It's like mistaking the puddle of water or the pool of water to be a tree. It's like saying seeing the reflection of it, saying, oh, look at the tree there, and forgetting that it's actually not a tree, it's just water. It's kind of like that. So as we're here, we can say that in this forgetting, it's a state of ignorance. It's a state of ignoring what's really there, what's actually there. And that it's in a way, it binds us or chains us to that world, the world of mind and thought and idea and imagination and concept. It like chains our attention to it in a way and keeps us in this state if we don't spend time to stay as presence. No matter what's happening, again, it's not about trying to stop thinking. It's the more you stay as present awareness and cut out any interest in thoughts, then you actually develop this skill of having the attention stay put, so that the attention can experience the unmoving awareness. So they're different in this way of looking at it. The attention of like what gets interested in something and moves around and absorbs and forgets, that's something that can also be witnessed from the awareness with a little bit of training. The issue is the fixation on where the attention goes and moves to is quite absorbed. But the more we spend time in cutting out the interest in any thoughts, you realize that thoughts can come, you can watch them, and you can even watch the pull of the attention into the thought and still stay present, stay here. This takes a little time, but the more we do that, the more we cut out the strings, the attachments, the shackles that bind us to the mental conceptual world. And the issue is that is in this ignorance of what we really are, we feel like we're so affected by the world, and that includes every physical and mental experience of life. This forgotten state of being, and operating based on the mind and its conditioning is inevitably and innately suffering, because if you just even think for a moment about the happening of being in a state of not knowing what's real, that there's a even if on a subtle level, there's a degree of suffering with that. Not knowing the truth about something, there's a degree of suffering to that. And we've heard the term ignorance is bliss. And that's almost like an avoidance of the truth. What it's saying is kind of like avoiding the truth or disregarding what's real is a more joyful state. To not know the troubles or struggles of the world, or to not know or to not acknowledge suffering or something like that, or what's going on, is a happier place to be. It may, to a degree, have a state of comfortability and familiarity living in that kind of way, as far as it's easy to get complacent with our suffering. It's easy to, when something becomes a habit and something becomes a pattern, whether it's good or not, can be a more desired place than the unknown. And the presence, is sort of, can be described kind of as a state of unknowing as far as we're used to knowing things. So it can be considered a state of unknown, or a position of unknown, because our association with knowing something is knowing through thoughts and knowing through conditioned conceptual ways of perceiving things. So in that sense, this presence is actually scary. And what happens with presence is what's real, and what's true is revealed. And sometimes always what gets revealed in those moments, inevitably at some point, will be your own ignorance. And that's not something that most of us are willing to accept, is that we are indeed ignorant about the truth, the very truth about life, reality, and self. And this is one of the reasons we are constantly distracting ourselves with doing things and accomplishing things, getting things done, being something in the world, feeling things, sensational pleasures and pains even, and stuff like that, and emotional things. Like, we're constantly grasping for experience in the mind and in the body too, and completely disregarding the where all of that comes from. What enables all of that to even exist at all is this mysterious presence that exists within everything simultaneously. It's ever present and beyond space, beyond time, and beyond form, so that allows this beingness to exist eternally, infinitely, within, without, and as everything, all the time. And that includes every cell in material reality. That includes the collection of all those cells and forms in every piece of matter in creation and in existence, in every subtle vibration of mind, of music, of sound, of the wind moving. This present eternal beingness exists in that kind of way. And this is not separate at all from anything in existence. And what that includes is yourself. And that's here now. And that now is always. And you are that. And so when we get rid of everything, and we can look at the human experience, just to funnel and focus in on that, is what we can confirm is when we experience this state and this space of being, and what the nature of it is like, and what the fulfillment of it is like. Because when you arrive fully and really are able to exist at that, and this may take some time. It may, in the beginning, there might still be that the thoughts still may pull you in. Thoughts such as, this isn't all that great, or this is boring, or I have to get up and do something. I have so much to do today, or these types of thoughts are going to come in, especially in these moments, to pull you out of it, because thoughts, it's just their nature is to draw attention, and that's fine, and that's okay. But for the sake of realization, and for the sake of stabilizing the realization of this truth, it may take a little time to really be able to discover this awareness that's so pure and so unaffected by anything. Because in the meantime, we'll probably, this is pretty much guaranteed to happen, probably mistake the moving attention for the unmoving awareness. This is very, very common. And it's pretty much a guaranteed part of the process of doing this, of really discovering your true self, is this mistake. You'll think that because that attention, when it's still, when the attention finds stillness, it kind of mimics the nature of the real self. But then it'll move and you'll say, I forgot. But it's just the attention. And it just means that there was still a mistake of being the attention and not being the awareness that is aware of everything and that is unmoving and unchanging. This is really common. So it's good to know that in the beginning, this is going to be part of what needs to be acknowledged. So stick with this. If this resonates, stick with it, and just know that there's gonna be moments where it feels like you have it, and then it feels like you don't, and that's an indication that you're identified with something that's moving. So stay quiet and stay still as that happens, and know that that's a thought as well, right? So I don't want to get too far into that kind of a thing, but just to acknowledge that any problem of the world at all is due to this ignorance or this ignoring of the real self. That we seem like we're bound by the world. We feel incomplete as being identified with our mind, and because it's true. Because when we're identified with the mind and neglecting and disregarding the subtle, silent self, we're missing a piece of existence, and it's the most important piece to existence, because it's what allows existence to actually be, and we disregard and we deny it by chasing the things of the mind and the things of the world. And it's a neglect of the soul. It's a neglect of the spirit. It's ignorance of it's not only what makes everything else whole and complete, it is wholeness itself. And being as that, you attain what we're all chasing. We're all chasing certainty. We're all chasing wholeness. We're all chasing fulfillment, to feel complete, to feel accomplished. All of that is present, ever present, and alive in every single moment as the true and real self, which is pure awareness, uncovered or realized, the realization of its unmoving, unaffected, pure essence. And so when that is really realized, and we cut out the mistaken identity, or we cut the habit of identifying with the attention as it moves around, and what goes along with that, fixation on thoughts and sensations and experiences, and we exist as the pure awareness, then everything else that happens in life remains. Nothing changes about life. Desire still comes, action still is taken based on desire. Pleasure in the body is still experienced and sensed. Even the desire for pleasure is going to rise. Pleasure will be attained, and then it's going to fall, and then pain and suffering will come as you swing back over on that spectrum of experiencing from pleasure to pain, and all of that will still happen, but suffering will be resolved, because you'll never forget the truth about who you are, and that you are eternal and exist before, during, and after everything in existence, including the birth life and death of your own body. And within that knowing, every experience of life, no matter what the thought, no matter what the sensation, no matter what the movement of attention, when you're anchored in this pure awareness, every moment of life is blissful, is enjoyed, because that pure awareness is that which all of creation comes from, to satisfy the infinite potential in exploring the possibility of experience in all their various forms. If you think about the forms in the universe are just as mysterious and infinite as the unmanifested pure potential. And it's this beautiful dance of the two. But the thing is, we've forgotten the source of creation by being absorbed in sensations of the mind and of the body and in the experiences of the world. So this is what completes the picture. This awareness, an anchor on the infinite, on the empty, on the subtle, on the void, on the stillness, the ever-presence, the completeness of this pure state of being beyond everything is what completes life, whether life is there or not. So I hope this is illuminating for the mind and inspiring for the mind to find joy and find peace in getting quiet, because, through that, there's so much that comes along with doing this, with exactly what we're talking about, of staying as this pure awareness. So I hope this shines light on your life journey and brings peace to your moments. Namaste.